I don't really have anything else. Those are the two things.
Yo, what about Noval?
Yeah.
What do you think is easier, Dan? Finding a needle in a haystack or finding a needle in a basket of haystacks?
I honestly, I mean, what if it was their first time here?
I'll tell you what.
What if someone was visiting?
Yo, you've been doing some interesting delvings into, the thinking about the history and future history of humanity. Shout out to Yuval Noah Harari, author of *Sapiens* and *Homo Deus*. We're getting deep into this shit in the mornings.
What were you saying? All the aerobics, I was just hearing on the speaker, like going, we have to say things. It's a podcast. Come on, people. We have to say things. It's a podcast. Stop it.
Yeah.
We have to say things.
Wait,
it's a podcast.
Yeah, I said that.
People, it's a podcast. We have to say things.
There's some hips on this, too.
Come on. Stop with this. We have to say things. Come on.
Yeah, I did read this book, Homo Deus. Homo Deus, Homo Deus. So that's how you can remember it.
That's good.
By the author of *Sapiens*. I was talking about the book *Sapiens* last time. This is this 2016 follow-up, I think. Homo Deus. It's talking about what's to become of us. Where have we been and what's to become of us? Very eye-opening and then eye-punching and then eye-closing, because it'll just make you want to roll over and wait for the dream/nightmare of our evolution to end the way it's going to, which is us becoming robot people.
Top 2 screws in the eyeball.
Yeah, I'm sure that's accurate.
No, which of the screws into the eyeballs did you find most, or most memorable or interesting? Or
yeah, Dan.
Oh.
Yeah, which screws into the eyeballs.
Yeah.
You gotta say things. It's a podcast. People are paying money for the words.
I thought the most interesting aspect was tracing the evolution of human religion globally from, animism or animus, whatever that is, where you're like, we were talking about that last time, like, oh, my friend's a bird, he brought me fire, and, he can fly and I can't, and kind of on equal terms with everything around me. But also, my worst enemy, my best friend, all these critters, and moving from that to polytheism, moving from that to monotheism, and then we really have replaced that with humanism. Like even if we don't want to admit it and we want to talk about things like I believe in God and all that stuff, we still are having conversations about looking within ourselves, which wasn't always the case a long time ago. Like you would actually grab a sword and run over to the Middle East with it because you truly actually believed that something outside yourself was going to make you a Silver Surfer after you died. You really believed in it in the way that you believe where Waze is telling you to go. Like it was a concrete thought. You can still have that philosophy these days.
Was that how the Crusades was?
Yeah, people back then really believed that there was an external force, and we have evolved in terms of our philosophy, even the religious among us. Even a zealot is somebody who's still saying, I've looked within myself and I know what God's mission is. Kind of they're not waiting for a cloud to come and help save them from pigeons or something. We've all evolved into humanism, the worship of humanity, and then taking that and saying well, there's two big branches of humanism that are kind of at odds, and the one that's won out is liberal humanism, which is basically saying, look, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know it's important to be human. And then the other one is the evolutionary humanism. And a lot of us probably go back and forth between these things, but in our current political state, you can see these things magnified to the point where they could kill ants and burn wood, because it's the extreme forms of that shit in the way that you pull a lever in a polling booth is it's God damn it, the evolutionary humanism is I love humanity so much that I don't want that person slowing us down. I don't want that person getting away with anything. I'm tired of saying that person's equal to that person when we all know that's not true. Some things are more valuable than others. Let's stop fucking around and let's get better. I say that with a mocking voice because that's not the team I fight for. Because I don't. How do you stand on that slope without slipping into the fucking Moff Tarkin territory? Like I don't know. Maybe it says more about me than you that I can't go near that fucking slope. I choose not to. I don't want to stand there. I prefer the liberal humanism, which is like. But the interesting thing is that he earns his trajectory by explaining where we've been and talking about how, like, World War II is like this kind of like grand sort of climax of it was a battle during which like liberal democracy. It was this close to extinction because it was catching a left punch from socialism. All the poor people waking up. You can see this in your friends. We're having these conversations right now with the socialists saying, hey, liberals, you know, you are rich and you are privileged and you are saying that you want everybody to be free because if they're free to do what they did yesterday and do the same thing tomorrow, and you're free to be rich and they're free to be poor. And socialists are like, we're catching on to you. You're an elitist and God, get that left punch coming. And then at the same time, leading up to World War II, there's this right punch coming from your little characters around the world who are going, hey, I'm poor too, and you know what? I'm sick and tired of saying that guy's beautiful when the truth is he's ugly. And I don't want to listen to this song when I want to listen to Wagner. It's beautiful. It's the best music ever. And wow, I'm tired of fucking around, and I'm going to troll the world. And prove that everything is like needs to be better, and stop lying. Everyone tell the truth. Life is ugly and we can make it more beautiful if we fucking eat each other. And both of those guys, you get a left fist and a right fist coming at the people with all the money who were like living high on the hog and who could only win that war, that chapter, really by forming an alliance with socialism. Like that, it was like we could only really win World War II by teaming up with Russia. But that's just a microcosm of the general fact that as far as these data fields are concerned, these philosophies, it's like liberal democracy is sort of like saying, hey, can't we all just get along? Can't we all just hang out? And your crimes are unintentional, kind of, when you say that. Your crimes are silence. You know, your crimes are, you're not really helping necessarily. And that needed to be fused with, hey, it's great, you be poor, other people can be rich. We had to pair that with, I believe in that so much, I'd like to help the poor. Like that kind of fusion came out of that chapter, which is the only way that this liberalistic like humanism beat out the evolutionary humanistic model. But the punchline is that it matters to us a lot, but it doesn't really matter on the grand scale. You can tell this guy is like, those are just roads that sort of like go like this, and I'm waving my hands in a nonsensical motion for those.
He's like doing a double helix situation.
It's like, I consider it a great thing that one side won out over the other, but kind of all roads lead to a distinct lack of Rome in that, like, no matter it's like all humanism, which is the only thing that survived. Like no one's out there like, shh, don't. I worship a black cat from outer space that really exists. We are all humanists around the globe. So these like these warring factions of humanists are all going to one way or another be slaves to data, technology. We're not going to be able to say that our goal is for humanity to be either happy or evolved and improved. Those are just, both of those teams would eventually just get swallowed up by algorithmic thinking. Because even if you're the most loving, like let's just play it as it lays, open your heart, be a good person kind of person, like it's only going to be a matter of time before that person has to admit that doing that without using data that are uncovering about people is actually just willful disobedience of making people happy. Like we're quickly approaching a threshold, according to this author, where like computers are they're not computers. Like I still think of computers as like a laptop and all this shit, whatever. The fucking information field that we're creating, the Internet of all things, is going to know us better than we know ourselves. We're not going to be able to keep up with people who are willing to let data tell them who to date tomorrow, what to eat, where to put their kids in school, like how to approach their philosophy. Like no matter what your philosophy is, algorithms are going to be. It's like the way I put it. I'm not paraphrasing him. I'm just like you can't shake your fist at a choo-choo train faster than a train. Like you can stand next to a train track and go like, I hate that darn train track. Like, and you could be right. Like train tracks are ugly. The thing blows smoke. It's beautiful next to the train track. You could live in a nice log cabin, but that everybody on the train is going to fuck more and make more people than the person in the log cabin. So that's just the basic.
So where does that put your philosophy right now? Like where are you at?
I think it puts all of our philosophies in this kind of like just sort of newly perspective. Like it's just like, oh, so that's the struggle we're having right now. But then it's like, oh, does it really matter almost? Like, because it's like we're so close to an age. And he wrote this book in 2016, it's like January, I think. And so I would think that he would have more paragraphs about "told you so" if while he was writing it he was like working this like shit happening, because he's kind of predicting it in this book, and I'm like, oh shit.
What is he predicting?
Well, just the idea that that democracy is going to start to be assailed by data. That algorithms, and he gives this example, and I think it's just blind. Like he didn't read about Cambridge Analytica.
Right.
He's just giving the example. He goes like, Facebook accounts have more information about people than they have about themselves, and they did a study where people said they gave people's closest friends a test about their friend. They said, how well do you know Jeff Davis? Answer these questions, and then they kept the algorithmically predicted answers to themselves, and theirs were more accurate. That Facebook itself can answer questions about you more than your friends can, and then on top of it, more than you can. That because we don't remember shit. Like we live a fucking weird experiential life, but our narrative is like, it's hardwired. So the guy gives this example. It's a little hokey, but it's also just kind of poetic of like you're going to go on a date in the future and you say to your Cortana Google thing, you go, I don't know who I should. I got Carl called me and Jerry called me. Like Jerry's awesome and he makes me laugh, but Carl has more respect for me. I think, I don't know. I'm so confused. My parents so I don't know what to do. And like, we'll quickly be approaching a time when this Google Cortana Siri thing, like whatever this is, will say to you, hey, listen, I know you better than you know yourself. Like, I'm not talking down to you. I'm just here to help. And I know you so well that I know you're not going to like what I have to tell you. But I have monitored your heart rate on every date you've ever been on with both of these guys. And I have monitored their heart rates, and I've talked to their Cortana Google series, and because you guys gave limited authorization to do a little brokering of the adrenaline, of the endocrine levels and the things that you've felt, and I've read all of the books that you've read. I've even finished the books that you fell asleep reading, and I've noted the parts where you fall asleep. I've noted the paragraphs that you have to read over and over again because some of them you want, they're important to you. Some of them you're too dense to get like. And all of this for me is information, and for you it's just fleeting gas. And if you get a cold, you might vote wrong. Whereas I know what you march for, and I know what T-shirts you buy, and I know how you genuinely feel on average for the last 15 years of your life. And I'm telling you, 87% Carl. That's all I'm gonna say. And also wear the green dress. It makes you look better. You've been retaining water lately and you tend to blah, blah, blah. Like it's gonna be better at telling you shit that's gonna actually make you succeed by our definitions of success better than your aunt can.
What's bad about that though?
There's nothing bad. It's like this guy is continually pummeling, it's meat tenderizing. It's just like, it's just bashes humanity into like this. It's like, he's like, just admit it, we're going to merge with data.
Yeah, like Spencer, like you're into this kind of stuff.
Yeah, this sounds great.
Does that scare you, or do you dig that?
No, because I think the bad aspects of that, like society using evil data to control people's minds, that's already happening. So like, it's going to get worse the same way everything's always getting worse. But I think the potential for good is good. I don't know. There's one government. I don't know where it is. It's in like the Netherlands or something. I don't know. But they have a section of government where they enact legislation by science. So they use data to determine what's probably the best policy to enact. Wow. Then they do a test run of that policy, take data, and then they analyze that policy and do another test policy until they have policy that they can actually enact that they know is going to work. And it doesn't have to do with voting. It's just data and knowledge and science. And that's probably better than governance. I can see how that can be hijacked by manipulators, but on its own, but that's all that every system
But
is
if
like
it flows freely enough, hacking it shouldn't matter too much. Like, especially things that don't have to do with privacy.
Do we all have to fuck Carl?
Yeah. Well, 87%
we'll have to wear a green
of us.
dress and
Carl,
body shame ourselves.
I'm more concerned about this green dress.
It makes a pretty compelling argument for, like, right now we're worried about voting fraud and, like, how do we keep the polls honest, and hopefully we'll get through that. But there is going to come a point where we're going to start. If we're going to evolve, we're going to be asking ourselves at a certain point, why are we going to the poll to do this when the poll is supposed to be a measurement of all of these, like, processors that are supposed to be networked together, that are living their life together and having a social contract together. So why go every 2 years and 4 years for these referendums that are like that are purposely boiling things down to an obfuscated, like, kind of set of data, as opposed to just like, if the algorithms get good enough at regulating society and making things fair for people, if that's its directive, hey, Skynet, make things fair. Okay, we'll do. We'll go through phases where we're like, Skynet, I'm watching you. Don't go Terminator on us. Haha, I saw that movie too. I understand the reference. But seriously, I'll get you to work on time. And we'll kind of, like, let ways get us to work on time a few times before we're willing to say, all right, just pick the route. Just pick the route. And then after a while, if everyone says just pick the route, we're not going to get any more upset about it picking everyone's route and collectively ushering us into ways that get everyone home, any more than we get upset about, hey, who chose the shape of this aluminum can? I think big vending machines behind this soda. Like, we're not like, how do you know, how I'm boxed out of whether or not this is a perfect cylinder. Like, we just kind of trust a bunch of shit after a while. We're just like, okay, I guess that's how soda should be shaped. I don't know. I grew up on it. And yeah, any kind of hacking stories will just be like, see, that's why you need more security. Like, these North Koreans gave you a flu, like, in your nanovirus protection. Like your kid got a cold because of North Korea. Guess we need to upgrade. Like, and anybody that's a Luddite is just going to get sick and die sooner. Oh, well. Look, I'm out. I always finish these books. I get a pit in my stomach, and then I'm like, just get to the part where you say this won't happen for 50 years. And that's what he does at the end. He's like, of course, this could take 50 years or 100. I'm like, peace. I just want people to find my one-eyed Willy skeleton with a Minecraft laptop. Like, fucking, what? Is this a boob? What did he want? Try to close the laptop and a fucking bowling ball falls on you. For no reason. I mean, there's no treasure.